What's going on, everybody? Good morning. Happy Wednesday. We're going to do things a little bit differently today because the Seahawks play tomorrow. Now, normally I would be doing my college football prospect videos right now, but college football is basically over. We just have bowl games, so I'm not going to do that. Um, Also, since we play tomorrow, I would normally be doing my pregame video right now, but I'm not going to do that either because we don't have a final injury report yet, so I can't really make that video when I'm not entirely sure who's going to play. And I feel like I have a pretty good idea of who's going to play, but I want to make sure. I always try to get that final injury report before I make the pregame video. So what we're going to do instead is take a look at pass coverage, which we normally do on Thursday. Then we're going to do pass rush Friday in a little bit here. Get that out of the way so we can focus on this upcoming game on Thursday against the Rams. All right, guys, let's take a minute so I can tell you about Sleeper, a one-stop shop for all your sports needs. You can celebrate and chat on sports games in real time with other users. You can get the fastest scores, blazing fast sports news and sports alerts right at your fingertips. And of course, you can use Sleeper to play in fantasy leagues and win real money on picks contests. This is the way sports were meant to be enjoyed together. So download Sleeper today. Use promo code SBN to get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. And you can pair that with another promo they have right now where you can get a $20 entry free with no deposit required. So get both of those things going. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states and growing. So check out Sleeper today. Get to it and go have some fun with sports this year. Okay, so pass coverage Thursday on a Wednesday. Let's hit it. For starters, it was a pretty great game for the pass coverage because it was kind of easy mode, right? We're talking about a Colts team that had very little production throwing the ball. They made very few plays in the passing game. Rivers averaged less than 4.5 yards a throw or an attempt or drop back or whatever. It was not really a productive day at the office for the Colts passing attack. So on the surface, if you just look at it as a team, it was great. But there were two guys that got, maybe you could say, picked on a little bit and gave up a good chunk of the little bit that was allowed. So let's go ahead and start with one of those guys, one of the guys that got picked on, Ernest Jones the fourth. First time this year, it feels like he really got exploited in coverage. And when you think about it, it really does kind of make sense. The Colts hit Ernest Jones with a lot of checkdowns, dump offs, and screens, and I don't think he did a great job keeping up. And this is going to be his shortcoming as a player. He's not that fast, he's not that quick, and certain types of plays and certain players are going to get the best of him. I think Amir Abdullah hit a couple of Texas routes on him. There were a couple of like modified Texas routes, some dump offs, and he didn't really have a great answer for it. He got targeted according to PFR, and it's a little different than PFF. 7 times, 7 completions for over 50 yards. That is almost 60 yards, actually. That is most of what the Colts did through the air on Sunday. So, not really a good day for Ernest Jones. Most of it, I believe, was, it was mostly yak, which also makes sense. Still doing his job overall this year. We're talking about a QB rating of 53.8. He's been well beyond any reasonable expectation for Ernest Jones in coverage, but that was a game that kind of reminds you he's not necessarily a stellar cover player. He is, at the end of the day, a very smart player. He understands where to be. He understands zone concepts. He understands landmarks. But athleticism, it's not going to keep up with a guy like Amir Abdullah. Drake Thomas was the only other linebacker who played defensively on Sunday. He got targeted twice. And I believe it was just the 2 completions, but only 6 yards. So not really anything to talk about there. Negative air yards, so it was all just like little checkdowns that went for tiny gains, not really meaningful. Having a really good year overall, man. I mean, we're at the point now where he's played enough to judge. 272 yards allowed in coverage. Like, could you imagine if Tyrese Knight had played the whole season to this point? He'd probably be double that. he was certainly on pace to be about double that. 86.5 QB rating allowed, it's really good. And for a team that has, in recent years, kind of become known for their linebackers just getting abused in coverage, this group, it's not happening. Okay, edge rusher. The only edge rusher that was targeted in this game, according to PFR, was Derek Hall. And it was actually one of the only big plays the Colts had. It was the 17-yard completion to Tyler Warren. Hall, for some reason, was in coverage down the field, kind of up the seam. So it was very kind of strange that the Seahawks thought that was a good idea. Don't know why they thought they should cover Tyler Warren with Derek Hall, but 17-yard pickup there. So, again, none of these edge rushers are getting targeted anywhere near enough to make it a big deal. But that was probably the biggest play of the season where an edge rusher was clearly and obviously the one in coverage. So maybe don't do that one again. Okay, cornerback. Not a lot going on here. I think we know that. Devin Witherspoon did get targeted 4 times, but 3 completions for a grand total of, I believe, 14 yards. And I think all of it was yak. In fact, most of it was yak. So obviously, you're not going to attack outside corners that much in this situation. Like, Phillip Rivers is not going to go out there and make a point to go after Devin Witherspoon and Reek Woolen, but it was a really good game regardless, and you can only play who you're matched up against, and Witherspoon continues to have a really good second half of the year. QB rating allowed when targeted down to a 90.2, which doesn't sound amazing, but he is consistently bringing it down week after week. Reek Woolen, PFF said he never got targeted. PFR actually had him getting targeted 1 time, and he gave up a completion for 12 yards. So a little bit of a difference. In fact, I couldn't figure out who they took away a target from to give it to Woolen. So obviously it's debatable, but still happy with that. More than happy with that. Technically his QB rating allowed went up a tiny bit, I believe, because 12-yard completion, that's not nothing. But we're still looking at some pretty stellar numbers here, man. No complaints. Then we got Josh Jobe. And Josh Jobe getting beat up on this week. I've seen a lot of negative comments about him. 4 targets, 2 completions, and 24 yards. So 4 targets, 24 yards. Are you guys kind of starting to understand why I find this to be kind of silly, right? Okay. Josh Jobe got hit with a bogus PI call, like egregiously bogus. And he gave up a couple of passes to Phillip Rivers, who honestly was throwing balls that were so ugly. It was like the defenders on some plays didn't really know what to do because it was such a foreign concept to have an NFL quarterback throwing the ball like that. And everybody's just dumping on him. Big picture, guys, big picture. Even though he allowed that touchdown on Sunday, he did. His QB rating allowed when targeted is basically identical to Reek Woolen's this year. It is a world better than Devin Witherspoon's, and also a world better than Nick Emanwari. Is he as good as those players? Of course not. But this is a guy who has, by any reasonable measure, done his job and then some. He's allowed less than 50% completion. He's making $2 million this year, right? Which is less than Woolen and less than Witherspoon, even though those guys are on rookie deals. This is a guy who's had to fill in when players get hurt, and this is what he's doing. I mean, trust me, guys. When teams drop back to pass against Seattle, they have to target somebody. And not everybody's going to be Deion Sanders just shutting everything down all the time. When teams drop back against Seattle, they're not trying to throw at Witherspoon that much. They're not trying to throw at Woolen that much. And honestly, even though he's given up a decent amount this year, I don't think they want to throw at Nick Emanwari very much because he's so long. And they're afraid. I think that is something that they're genuinely terrified of doing in a lot of circumstances where, against most players, they would. They're going to target Josh Jobe. They're going to throw the ball at Jobe. That's reflected in the fact that he's been targeted 80 times this year almost. And he has held up well. We are getting our money's worth and then some, trust me. So, anybody out there who wants to chase Josh Jobe out of town, hey, I think Woolen should be on the field more than Jobe. I would like to see that change made, but we are winning with Jobe on that contract, given how beat up our secondary has been this year. Remember, most of the other guys have missed at least some time. All right, so I just wanted to talk about that for a little bit because I saw so much dumping on Josh Jobe after the Colts game, and he didn't have a great game, I will admit. It wasn't just the completions he gave up. There were some other things as well, but it's gone way too far. This guy is delivering many times over what he's getting paid, and where would we be without him? Remember, we've missed Witherspoon, Woolen, and E-Man Worry for parts of the season this year. Something to think about. Anyway, Julian Love, moving on to safety here, targeted twice, no completions. I think he actually had 2 passes broken up, so he's getting back into the swing of things. Should be ready for a full game on Thursday. 62.2 QB rating when targeted, but it's only 14 targets, so we're not working with much here. Kobe Bryant got targeted 1 time in this game according to PFR, and it was picked. So can't get much better than that. He's going to get paid, man. 55.1, 4 interceptions. He's getting some money, man. He is getting that money. He might make the... In fact, I think he will make the Pro Bowl at this rate. And don't know if it'll be us, but I'm not saying it shouldn't be. Nick E-Man Worry got thrown out a decent amount in this game. It was 6 targets for 3 completions, but we're only talking about 6 yards. I'm cool with that. So even though he didn't get a pick, still really good play. No efficiency when they targeted E-Man. 90.7 QB rating. Okada was targeted 0 times in this game. He didn't play very much, so that makes sense, and that's it. So a little bit of nitpicking with Jobe and a fair amount of criticism with Jones. Other than that, basically nothing. We had the 1 play on Derek Hall, which never should have happened anyway. And that's it. See you guys later. Go Hawks.